Now, one of the things up front that we have to talk about in this video is what is the relationship between the presentation of the temple endowment and this thing called Freemasonry. Many of you have likely heard of this connection before, maybe in roundabout ways. You've never investigated it fully. There's some great resources out there, and I'll do my best in this video to summarize and give you some perspectives on the relationship. There is no question that there is a relationship between the two, between the presentation of the endowment and some of the ceremonies found in Freemasonry. But I want to emphasize again, this is why I like saying this line, and it's so crucial. There is a difference between endowment and the presentation of the endowment. Endowment is a power, the presentation is a pedagogy or a method. History is very clear. Sometimes people they want to say, Joseph Smith ripped off the endowment from Masonry, is what they say. I completely and personally totally disagree with that assessment. Not only do I think it conflates endowment and the presentation of the endowment, but it's also not true historically. Joseph Smith has learned many concepts long before his exposure to Freemasonry. Joseph learned of the idea of detecting true messengers of God from false ones as early as when he was in Harmony, Pennsylvania, between 1829 and 1831. Joseph learned about the idea of becoming great high priests to God as early as June of 1831. He was the June 1831 conference. Joseph learned that people could part the veil and come into God's presence, as he taught there. He learned about people becoming priests and kings to God as early as 1832, as I read that quote in section 76. He began to do ceremonial washings and anointings as early as January 1833 with the School of the Prophets and in the Kirtland Temple. Joseph learned things that, like, to achieve the power of endowment, you need to be chaste, you need to be obedient, you need to live the law of consecration, you need to get rid of inappropriate laughter and light-mindedness. He learned all those principles that are outlined in section 88 of the Doctrine and Covenants as early as 1833. He learned ideas about the creation, the fall, the atonement in the Kirtland period as he translated the book of Moses and the book of Abraham. He learned about key words, signs, or sacred things that are only to be had in the temple in that period. What I'm trying to say is that Joseph learned most of these major concepts back to an unfolding restoration, line upon line and precept upon precept, long before he ever had his own personal exposure to Freemasonry and long before he became a Mason himself.